We're going to continue to read Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. We're going to hear God's word all together. Here's the word of God.
Chapter 24. When a man takes a wife and marries her, if then she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some indecency in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, and puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, and she departs out of his house, and if she goes and becomes another man's wife, and the latter man hates her and writes her a certificate of divorce, and puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, or if the latter man dies, who took her to be his wife, then her former husband, who sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord. And you shall not bring sin upon the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance.
Amen. We do have old frame to break down. Like I said, for the people of Israel, they had a mindset and mentality of slave. They try to survive on their own ways. So God is trying to break this old frame and instill the new frame. You are not slave anymore, but you are army of God. So you're going to carry out the calling and commission and conquer the land of Canaan. So God is doing this for new generation, and God is doing the same thing for us. So we used to live in this world as just people who do not know God and God's providence, God's will. So we are so familiar with this old frame. We try to survive on our own ways. We might think that we are smart enough to figure things out on our own, but that's not the case. So God is trying to equip us and let us be ready for really carry out calling and commission for this generation. In order for us to be able to enjoy what God is doing, we oftentimes hear about this 1:3:8, Acts 1:1, Acts 1:3, and Acts 1:8. So how can we break down the old frame? We know that that's the self-centeredness, materialism, success-driven life, right? So instead of thinking about, what we have, what we can do, but we need to focus on Jesus Christ. Who He is, what He has done for us, and what He is doing for now, and what He's going to do for us. So Jesus Christ has already finished everything. And He said, just come to me. Right? So if you believe in His name and what He has done for us, then you're gonna become what? New creation. So you need to know that you have already become a new creation in Christ. So Jesus Christ has already crushed the head of Satan and set us free from bondage of slavery and sin and death. He has already done this. If you know Him, if you accept Jesus Christ into your heart, then you now became what? New creation in Christ. So our identity has already changed. Then we need to know how to live as a new creation. That's the kingdom of God. So we are the citizen of God's kingdom. Then we need to know how to live as the citizen of God's kingdom. new creation. So God is dealing with this for this new generation. So you're going to enter into the promised land as a new creation. Don't follow the ways of the world, like Egyptians or Canaanites. But you need to follow the ways of God's kingdom, the love of God's kingdom. So God is speaking, God is preparing a new generation by telling them a new law, new way of living, new way of thinking. So God is doing this. So we need to learn how to live, how to think, how to react as a citizen of God's kingdom, God's people, as a new creation. Then, since we are not able to do this on our own power and strength and wisdom, so we're going to fill with the Holy Spirit. That's why God, Jesus, promised that when I ascend to heaven, after that, I'm going to send the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, and then He's going to aid you. He's going to help you out. He's the counselor, He's the advocate, and He's the helper, and He's going to do everything for you. He's going to be with you 24/7, forever. So if we deal with our in daily routine, like issues, then you kind of figure out what Jesus Christ has done for us in every single moment, in every single event and incident, then you're going to be the witness. It's not about, this is, what I can do, what I have achieved. It's not about that. We cannot even do this. That's why we need to go to Christ every single second, right? Because, God already set the standard of God. Can we follow that? Can we meet that, standard? Not at all. That's why we need to run to the city of refuge, Jesus Christ. And we're going to fill with His Spirit, Holy Spirit. And if you experience His healing, His, working, His providence in our everyday life, then we're going to testify who He is, what He has done for us as a kingdom, as a citizen of God's kingdom. So God is dealing with this right now. Don't forget about it. God is transforming our thoughts and minds. So, like I said, image of God got distorted. That's why God has already restored this image of God in Christ. So we need to enjoy how to really enjoy what He has done for us. Especially today, we're going to talk about marriage again. This is really, really important and vital thing that we need to think about. As you know, we have tendency, our generation have tendency to take marriage lightly. One time I saw the title of the advertisement where they are trying to selling something, right? But it says, "You are divorced. Now what? Buy out your spouse." I was surprised by looking at that kind of title. They try to get people from this statement. You are divorced. Now what? Buy out your spouse. The rate of divorce in the United States, more than 50%. So it's a really serious problem. But like I said, God is dealing with cleansing law. We cannot meet the standards of God But we need to know at least what is God's standard, what's God's law. If we feel that we broke it, then we need to run to the city of refuge and be cleansed. If you look at the passage, it might seem like, God is allowing a divorce. That's why if you look at Matthew chapter 19, then, Pharisees trying to put Jesus Christ in trouble. So they're asking concerning about this law. Let me read it to you. 19 verse 3. Some Pharisees came to him and to test him. They asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?" Since, right now, Moses is kind of saying that, you could divorce. But you need to write a certificate of divorce for your wife and let her go. So, and we need to focus on Jesus' answer. And he answered, haven't you read? He replied that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female, and said, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate." And then they ask again to Jesus, "Why then," they ask, "did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away?" It seems like, God is allowing divorce, right? And Jesus replied, "Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way from the beginning." We need to understand why God issued this law, command this law to his people. We shouldn't misunderstand the intention of God by telling his people about this. 24. The reason why Moses permitted the divorce is because of hardness of your heart. But it was not that way from the beginning. So we need to acknowledge this clearly, total depravity. So this is distorted image of God. So after we are separated from God, we are disconnected with God, we have broken relationship with God, and then we became totally depraved. What does that mean? Distorted perspective. We have distorted perspective. Whenever we see something, we couldn't see things in a correct way. And distorted morality. We cannot even do good things in God's eyes. And as a result, there's a consequences. What is that? Dysfunctional individuals and dysfunctional family and dysfunctional community, society. That's why we have this law. You see what I'm saying? From the beginning, God didn't allow, like permit divorce. Not at all. But because of this total depravity, because of the fall, people became dysfunctional individuals, dysfunctional families. We ended up having dysfunctional community, society. That's why God issued this law. Why? If you look at verse 1, if a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her. They try to find what? Indecency. We need, there are a lot of debates about this. What is this then? Because of this, husband couldn't find any favor from his wife. So, he's going to divorce. You see what I'm saying? Then we need to know what this means. There are two views on this among people of Israel. Hillel, they're kind of liberal. So they, in Jesus' time, the rabbinical school of Hillel took a very broad view and interpreted uncleanness to mean anything that displeased the husband. Anything that displeased husband, then you may divorce. When I wake up and then I saw my wife and she's not that pretty, so I'm gonna divorce her. That's how they apply this law. You see what I'm saying? Oh, she made a kind of soup. It doesn't taste good. That doesn't please me. So I could divorce. You see what I'm saying? Distorted image of God made them to do this. Another school of Rabbi Shammai took the narrow view that uncleanness meant some kind of sexual sin. But it doesn't make sense either. Indecency can be adultery. Why? If you commit adultery, then you'll be killed. Instead of getting divorced, that person, your wife, should be killed according to the law, right? So it's not about adultery then, right? What about? It can be a sexual affair before marriage, since that person would be stoned to death. So we read about that law, right? If you couldn't prove that you're a virgin, then you'll be stoned to death. So it's not about adultery. It's not about sexual affair before marriage. Then what is it? Anything that might displease husband. That's why at the time, there are a lot of divorces. The rate of divorce was really high among the community. covenant community. And then because of indecency, they couldn't find favor. So divorce was so easy to do. So they took marriage really lightly. We could identify that in our generation. We don't take marriage really seriously. In these days, people getting divorced so easily. Like I said, the cause of divorce is going to be indecency, how we interpret that. And we have distorted perspective and distorted morality, and we're going to apply that, and then we're going to get divorced. Self-centeredness. Materialism, like I said, getting married with the ones whom we see attractive. Sons of God, so daughters of men were attractive, and they got married. That was the trend of the world at the time. All the pagans at the time. 7 tribes, right? In the land of Canaan, they were practicing divorce really easily. That's a trend. And then we're living in this world and generation kind of same. Then we need to know, because of the hardness of heart, Moses issued this law. But because of distorted perspective, because of distorted morality, people misinterpret that, and then they practice getting divorced really easily. We need to go back to the original. Original design. Yeah, Matthew 19:3-9. If you look at it, then you will see that's Jesus' answer to the questions of Pharisees concerning this. Like within the Jewish community, the women couldn't even count it as number. You know what I'm saying? So we don't count women here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13. So we exclude all the women here. That's how they count. So it's really weird to see that. They look down on women. Worse than their property. But God is kind of saying that God created male and female equally. So we are created in God's image, male and female equally. We have different roles, but equally created. All of a sudden, he just bring this up. They were asking about what? Divorce. But he talked about original design of male and female. Because we have distorted perspective, distorted morality, they had a tendency to look down on women. And then he said marriage is two, and husband and wife, they're becoming one flesh. They're not two anymore. They're one flesh. So it's kind of perfect unity, a union that we was talking about. Marriage is male and female, husband and wife, they're going to become one flesh. So getting divorced means you need to cut yourself in two pieces. That's why if you get divorced, you're going to have pain. You need to go through really difficult times. Because this is how God designed marriage. It's not about husband and wife, but God said, you are no longer two, but one flesh. Physically one flesh. That's how He designed marriage. Why? Through this marriage, God is trying to explain His relationship with His people. Our union with Christ. Because of Jesus Christ, because of His work of Jesus on the cross, we restored the relationship with God. We became one. That's the union with Christ. You know what I'm saying? Holy Spirit lives inside of us. We became one. So marriage is kind of tool to explain the relationship between God and us. That's why marriage is really important. Even though this image of marriage got distorted and twisted in our generation a lot, but God originally designed this marriage as this, to explain. If you look at Ephesians chapter 5, Christ and church, husband and wife. That's how He explained the relationship. Then adultery is really serious sin because God allowed divorce because of adultery. You see what I'm saying? God designed this marriage, but this design could be broken because of the sin of adultery. That's why God really seriously took care of that. Let not men separate. No one can separate that bond. The marriage is not just, oh, I love you, you love me, let's get married. You see what I'm saying? God appoint two people be together, be united. So who established marriage? God. That's why when you decide to get married, you need to focus on God, not your own distorted perspective, distorted morality. We need to rely on God's will and God's plan for this marriage. God appointed two people get united, get together. That's why no one can separate the two, since God joined the two together. So God didn't issue the law of divorce originally. Then why God, Moses talked about this law? Because of the hardness of God, hardness of heart, the total depravity. then let's think about the purpose of this law. To prohibit unreasonable divorce. Unreasonable divorce. Don't just react upon your emotions or situation. And to protect the rights of women, the weak. To protect divorced women to be mistreated. Because later on, you see the law, this man was displeased by this wife, right? And then this person write a certificate of divorce and send her out. And then this person could get married with another man. And then this person died. Then what if this first one tried to get her as his wife again? The law prohibited. It's really interesting, right? But there's God's intention in there. It's not a solar system, it's a Selah system. You need to write a certificate of divorce and putting it in her hand and send her away. So they were surrounded by a pagan nation, right? At the time, they don't have this system. So they just divorced and then get married again. Divorce, get married again. And as you know, they don't even count women. And then women became what? Divorced women. They might be mistreated very well. So God is trying to set the system to protect the weak. But more than that, you need to write a certificate of divorce, which means you need to do it publicly among people. This is an action or ritual that took place before many witnesses concerning this action. So this is certificate. You need to get a certificate of divorce from many witnesses. So Moses has already, described all the laws about getting divorced. And they're going to evaluate if it is lawful or not, right? So it's going to be really public, which means the man should really think about whether I need to do it or not. It's not about just a personal issue. Selah system. Don't just react upon your desire, your emotion, or your distorted perspective, distorted morality. Don't react to it. It is a law to prohibit their thoughts or action considering getting divorced lightly. Matthew Henry said this. So that's the system for man to thoughtful about getting divorced. Don't just do it just like pagans out there. You're God's people. You're army of God. You're a new creation. Even though you have distorted perspective, distorted morality, you need to follow the ways of God and be healed. Be transformed. Act like new creation. This is God's grace where we can stop and think about our thoughts and decisions, especially on marriage. Once again, the first husband who divorced with his wife can get married with her again. That's another system to be thoughtful, be careful. Selah. By remembering this law, men would be able to pause and be realigned with God's will. So, if you think about God's standards, God's law, God's guidance, it's really practical. And He knows how wicked we are, how weak we are. So, we might think that, God is trying to, control us with the laws. No, it's not. It's for us. Since He knows how weak we are, how wicked we are, He's trying to protect us. Even men who might react on his emotions or their emotions and protect the weak, the woman. That's why we need to press the stop button and think about God's will and God's word, God's promises. I want to really urge you and encourage you to really be thoughtful about your marriage and getting divorced. I've done this remnant ministry. I have been serving this ministry a lot, and whenever I had some kind of deep talk with the remnants or people, Christians, they became dysfunctional. Families got dysfunctional. Why? Because they had scars from the family, broken families. That bad cycle is going on all the times. Like I said, we are cutting ourselves in two pieces. So we have no choice but to go through painful moments, painful times. So we need to be really thoughtful. And we need to really ask God's will and God's plan for that. So be cautious about that. And be really thoughtful and mindful about this. We need to admit this. Our hearts are so wicked. We have this total depravity inside of us. Then we need to admit that, and then we need to seek out God's grace and God's mercy, God's strength and God's wisdom and God's insight. Don't react upon your desire, your emotion, fleshly desires. Keep that in your mind. Stop. God has given us this law as a Selah system. Stop and think. Let's pray. This is really a sensitive issue as well. But I need to be bold because this is what the scripture says. And this is God's heart, God's intention. This is not for condemning or judging people, to save them, to heal them, to transform them. So it's not the standards that we judge people, condemn people, but try to heal them, try to save them. God is trying to protect men and women, male and female. We are created in God's image. Yeah, because of the fall, our image of God has been distorted. But through the work of Jesus Christ, we have become a new creation in Him. So we need to think like new creation. We need to act like new creation. We need to deal with our situation, realities as a citizen of God's kingdom, God's people, and new creation. I hope that we really take it and keep it in our hearts. Let's pray.